So this little device here is called a Bitkey and is quite possibly one of the easiest to recommend Bitcoin hardware wallets on the market right now. So in this video, I'm going to run through exactly how it works, how it stacks up against similar products on the market, and why I think it might just be the best value for money hardware wallet out there. But before we get into it, just as a quick disclaimer, this video is intended for information and entertainment purposes only. It should not be considered financial advice. Any reference to financial products, investments, or services are general opinions and are not tailored to your personal circumstances. When investing, your capital is at risk, and you may lose some or all of your investment. Past performance does not guarantee future results, so always do your own research. I'm also not sponsored by Bitkey, so I bought this product with my own money for the purposes of testing it out for this video. But with all that out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, so Bitkey is a type of self-custodial Bitcoin hardware wallet created by Jack Dorsey's company, Block. And it's been created for the purpose of being a secure way to store your Bitcoin off an exchange. And it retails at the moment in the UK for £160. Now, there are a ton of different hardware wallets out there on the market right now, and typically they all work in a similar way, where they store the private key to the wallet offline, which is great for security reasons when it comes to protecting yourself from online hacks, but it does create a new issue of how to safely keep hold of your private key, as this is typically protected by the device itself with a PIN and backed up by a 12-word seed phrase written down on a piece of paper. Bitkey, on the other hand, use a totally different system, where you have a multi-sig setup where 2 of 3 keys are needed to sign a transaction. How this works is that the first key is stored on your mobile phone within the Bitkey app. Second, you have a fingerprint secured hardware key, which is this physical device and acts as your offline key. And then finally, Block hold a server backup key, which they can use to help you recover your funds if you lose either of your 2 keys. But they cannot access your funds with this alone. This setup means that no one, not even Block, can access your Bitcoin without your permission. And it provides peace of mind that you can still recover your wallet if you lose one of the keys. So out of the box, you get some simple instructions, the Bitkey device, and a USB-C charging cable, which should rarely be needed as the device has a battery within it that should last over a year. Then to set up the device, it's incredibly simple. You just scan the QR code on the instructions, which takes you to the mobile app download page. Then once you're in the app, you're prompted to set up a new Bitkey, which involves scanning your fingerprint onto the device, putting in an email address, and pairing the device with your phone. And that's literally it. Your wallet is now ready to use, and this whole process can be done in under 5 minutes, without any KYC or filling out any personal details. Now, the Bitkey device itself is actually incredibly simple. So all it's got on it is a USB-C charging port to charge up its internal battery, a fingerprint scanner on the top, and a light. So the app will prompt you when you need to use the device if you're changing a setting or trying to sign a transaction, and all you'll have to do is scan your fingerprint. If the fingerprint is correct, the light will turn green and it's ready to use, and tap the back of your phone. And if it's incorrect, it will turn red and just shut off. So you don't need to type in any PIN numbers or passcodes like with other hardware wallets. It's literally just a fingerprint touch and a tap. Now, once you're up and running, the first thing you're probably going to want to do is add some Bitcoin to your wallet. And this is as simple as just clicking receive, and it shows your address that you can then copy and paste or scan into the wallet that you're sending it from. And you also don't need the hardware device at this stage when receiving Bitcoin. Bitkey do have a built-in integration with the Coinbase exchange, which should make transferring funds to and from there a lot easier. But honestly, I've not tried it or tested it, as I've had too many issues with Coinbase in the past and never want to use them again. But apparently they are working on adding other exchanges too, which is something to look out for in the future. Now, when it comes to sending transactions, that's where the device comes into play. As with any 2 of 3 multi-sig, you'll need 2 keys to sign a transaction. So with Bitkey, that is your phone and the device. So to send Bitcoin, it's as simple as clicking send, pasting the wallet address or scanning the QR code of the wallet you're sending it to, setting the amount you wish to send, setting your fee, and then finally confirming the transaction by scanning your fingerprint on the device, waiting until it turns green, and then tapping the back of your phone. And that's literally it. And from there, you'll be able to see your transaction on the blockchain if you wish, and you can see once it's been confirmed. Now that's really the basics of how this device works. And it's possibly all most people will actually need from the device. But Bitkey also have some extra features that are worth mentioning. The first really cool feature that they have is that you can set up a transaction limit, which allows you to choose an amount per day that you're able to send without needing the device. So for example, this might be handy if this was your main Bitcoin storage solution. You obviously want this to be a very secure setup and utilize the benefits of having a multi-sig, but this feature allows you to set a daily limit of say £100, which might be useful if you're out and about and quickly need to send a smaller amount of Bitcoin, whilst keeping the majority of your stack secured by your device. I do think it's a massive shame though that Lightning is not yet integrated within Bitkey, as I feel it would be a great addition being able to send Bitcoin over Lightning when spending from your set daily limit, as it's so much faster and often cheaper. There are also inheritance features built into the app to help you transfer your Bitcoin to your loved ones if you do pass. And I think this is a great addition as it makes the entire process so much simpler, as there's no need to find any seed phrases or remember any pins or follow any obscure treasure maps. They also have UTXO consolidation built into the wallet as well, which is a really important feature for managing your Bitcoin and keeping your fees down in the future. Although I do think it's a bit limited, and I'll go over that later. Now let's look at one of the most important aspects, which is the recovery process, if you lose either of your keys. So if you lose your phone, your mobile key is backed up on your cloud account, which you would have done when setting up the app. So to recover your wallet, it's as simple as getting a new phone, just signing into that same cloud account, and then download the Bitkey app and recover the wallet. And from there, you can wipe all other devices just to be safe if your phone was stolen. Now, if you lose your hardware device, you will have to purchase a new one, but then you can follow a recovery process within the app that will allow you to set up a new device with the phone. Now finally, we have the scenario if Block for some reason falls into administration and none of their apps and infrastructure work anymore. Well, there's an open source recovery wallet that you can use with Android phones only to recover your wallet and then move your funds to a new solution. So it's not ideal for iPhone users, but I'm sure most people will be able to get hold of a cheap Android. So there are lots of options, and it seems most points of failure have been thought through. And I think it is quite reassuring that if you lose one of your two keys, you can sleep knowing that your Bitcoin is not gone forever. That said though, best not lose both your phone and your Bitkey at the same time, because if you do, you will need to make sure that you have a trusted contact set up so they can help you recover your accounts, but also have your backup saved on the cloud. So now you know pretty much how it all works. I just wanted to go over what I personally think are Bitkey's strengths and weaknesses. So I think it's amazing how easy to use and simple this device is. The setup, sending transactions, using the device itself, and generally the whole user experience is just awesome. And there's something about just using the Bitkey device when signing transactions which I just find incredibly satisfying. A lot of hardware wallets on the market are pretty daunting to use, especially for beginners. And I think Bitkey do a great job of making it beginner friendly and much less complicated. With that simplicity, it also doesn't feel like you're compromising on any security compared to other single sig hardware wallets. If anything, it feels more secure knowing that it's a multi-sig wallet, and if any of the individual bits fall into the wrong hands, your Bitcoin should still be safe. The device on its own is completely useless to someone else, as they'll need your phone and your fingerprint. Although arguably, it could be susceptible to physical hacks if it gets into the wrong hands, which is the same for most hardware wallets. Another feature that I really like, which I've already talked about, is being able to set up a transaction limit that lets you send a certain amount of your Bitcoin each day, as I just think this solves a real world issue and is a super useful feature to have. Now another thing I actually really like about it is the price. So at £160, it may seem quite steep initially compared to other higher tier hardware wallets on the market, such as the Ledger Nano X, Trezor Safe 5, Bitbox, Blockstream Jade, which are all just over £100. But when you break down what this package is actually offering, I think it's great value for money. Unlike these others mentioned, which are single SIG devices, this is a multi-SIG collaborative custody solution with built-in inheritance planning. Other collaborative custody services from companies like Casa or Unchained start from around $250 per year. And you'll also need to buy a physical hardware device on top of that too. Obviously, these services are likely to be superior when it comes to overall security, but looking purely at the price, I think the Bitkey is a pretty good value for money product. Now on some of the potential weaknesses and drawbacks of using the Bitkey. First is its simplicity. Although I really appreciate it for the most part, there are some aspects that I just wish had a bit more optionality and more customizability. One example is the UTXO management. All you can do at the time of recording this is consolidate all of your UTXOs, which is not necessarily a good thing. In other more advanced wallets, you can consolidate certain UTXOs that you want to and leave others as they are. And this is really important for managing your future fees, but also your privacy. Also, when sending out of your Bitkey, because it's so simplified, you also can't select which UTXOs you want to use, which I just think isn't really good enough if you care about UTXO management. Now, if you don't know what the hell UTXOs are, it's a bit too complicated to go over in this video, but I will make a video very soon breaking down exactly what they are. So drop a comment if that would be useful to you. Now, another thing that's overly simplified, which annoys me, is actually the transaction fees. So you can choose either low, medium, or high priority when sending a transaction, which generates 3 different fees. But you can't physically set the fee in sats per VByte, which is how fees are actually calculated on the blockchain. I always like to be very exact and set the fees myself after checking what the going rates are on mempool, and most other wallets give you the optionality to do this, and I just wish it was the same in Bitkey. Also, I did mention it already, but I really wish that Bitkey did have integration with the Lightning Network. I feel that this added to the overall package would make it almost the perfect all-in-one app and device, offering beginners basically everything they need, from a hot wallet to a more secure cold storage solution. But possibly the biggest drawback of using Bitkey is the question of whether you actually have true sovereignty, as you do take on quite a lot of counterparty risk being so reliant on one company. There are potentially risks if the company do get hacked, considering they do basically hold all of your keys. And for this reason, personally, I'd feel a lot safer using a true collaborative custody solution, where you can use a hardware wallet from one company, give just one key to another company, and keep one key for yourself. Or something along those lines where you can distribute some of the risk and hopefully make it more secure rather than being so reliant on just one company. But overall, would I recommend a Bitkey? Well, if it's your first step into self-custody, absolutely. It's a great product, it's super easy to use, and limits the risk of human error associated with many other hardware wallets. Losing your private key or seed phrase is the most common way that people lose their Bitcoin, so the fact that this product solves that issue is fantastic. I think it almost perfectly strikes the balance of offering enough advanced features without being overwhelming to beginners. That being said though, when it comes down to overall security, Bitkey just isn't quite there if you're looking for a really secure solution, in my opinion. Like I said, a true collaborative custody multi-sig option I think would be better, even despite the extra cost. That said though, I do think that the Bitkey package is hands down better than any other hardware wallet that I've tried, if using as a single sig setup. Now I'm afraid that covers everything for today. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please smash that like button down below. Also, let me know if you agree with me about Bitkey. Have you tried it yet, or are you interested in getting one? Either way, drop your thoughts down below. As always, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below to stay up to date with all of my latest Bitcoin content. And if you do want to learn how to dollar cost average into Bitcoin for free, check out this video on screen now where I break down exactly how you do it. But with that being said, take it easy and enjoy the rest of your day.